Getting an ITIN number, an individual taxpayer identification number, can be a very helpful thing to have when you're a non-resident and you're outside of the US. An ITIN is like a US Social Security number, but for a non-resident. And getting these numbers is a little annoying to get. I have other videos explaining exactly how to get it, and I'm going to briefly in this video, but I've noticed in talking to clients and prospects and just people every day, there are right and wrong ways to apply for an ITIN, and that's what I want to talk about in this video. If you've paid someone else to get you an ITIN, I want you to watch this video and I will explain how they probably did the application to get you an ITIN, because there's an easier way to do it. It's just I don't believe it's the right way, and I want to go over that in this video. So again, an ITIN number is like a US social. You need it really to build credit in the US. You need it for a lot of like applications, mostly for more bank accounts, more credit cards, for more like being a US person, but while being a non-resident, not subject to US income taxes. An ITIN can be very useful to have, and you get it by filing a form W-7 with the IRS. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to look at the W-7, and I'm going to explain how we get it for our clients. And then I also want to explain how I talked to a prospect and he had already paid someone else to do it, and that's fine, whatever. Let me look at the application. I saw what he did, and I want to talk about why I don't think that's the right way to do it. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to look at some of these forms, and you can compare it to your forms, and you can see what you did versus what should have been done, and I'll explain it, okay? So you can see here is the Form W-7 application for an IRS individual taxpayer identification number. So I have the instruction in another sheet, but this is essentially the form. Let's zoom in a little bit. You need to have a reason to submit the W-7. You could be a non-resident alien required to claim a treaty benefit, which is interesting, and there's instructions on that. Non-resident alien filing a tax return, a dependent, a spouse, a non-resident student, which we know we've done also if we have someone who's here on a certain visa and needs an ITIN to adjust the withholding. And then we also have dependents, and then the other line. So I'll tell you how we do it first. Typically, we are filing U.S. tax returns. We're filing, I'm preparing a 1040 NR, a form that says you are a non-resident. We're putting a nominal amount of money on there as income, so we have a reason to file, and then they eventually issue the ITIN. We get a letter at the office, we share it with you, and you have it. And basically, when we file, we're saying you're a non-resident, you have no real income in the U.S., and the income you do have, we paid tax on just now, $100, whatever. That's how we've been doing it for the longest time, because I don't like the alternatives. Now, when I looked at this other one, they did an exception. So, and this is the most common one that I see done by so many people. Reason you're submitting W-7. You're going to put this on this line, and this is the one. Non-resident alien required to get an ITIN to claim a treaty benefit. Or no, that's not actually the right one. So if the reason for your ITIN isn't requested on boxes A through G, describe this in more detail. So you have people requesting ITINs who aren't tax preparers or CPAs or actual people who do taxes. They're just filling out the W-7, putting exception, putting a form, and mailing it in. And exception 1A is what people are doing. Passive income, third-party withholding benefits, withholding or treaty benefits. This exception may apply only if you're the recipient of partnership income, rental income, or other passive income, including income you receive as a beneficiary of annuity that's subject to withholding or covered by treaty benefits. And this can be Schedule K-1. Essentially, everyone's doing it with the Schedule K-1. So this is what I've seen more than once from more than one different companies, and there's a reason you don't want to do this. You're effectively filling out a form requesting a number because you're saying to the IRS, the income I earn in the US is subject to tax. It is subject to backup withholding. That's why I need an ITIN. You're telling them that you're subject to tax and you need an ITIN. It's contradictory to what most of my clients are actually doing. Most of my clients are non-residents who do work outside the US and don't want to pay US income taxes. If we filed it like this, it would be inconsistent, and you would be essentially telling the IRS that, no, I'm subject to tax. That's why I need an ITIN. And also, I'm going to file a tax return that says I'm not subject to tax. Yeah, will the IRS look at it? Not necessarily. Will they see it? Maybe not. If you get audited, is it something they'll definitely see and they'll definitely look at? Yes. Your passport's attached to it. When you file this W-7, you're attaching your passport, you're attaching all your information, and you're telling the IRS that you have U.S. source income that's subject to withholding. And then if you file a partnership return and don't do the withholding, and then they question it, it's very contradictory. So the moral of the story is be careful when you're applying for an ITIN, and don't go ahead and request an ITIN and effectively tell the IRS that you're subject to taxes, because that's what people are doing. So many people are doing it like this, and maybe that's why people are having issues. And do they maybe get it faster this way? You might get it faster this way. I don't know. But I wouldn't file it this way because I don't think it's accurate. If it is accurate, of course, if you're investing in a rental property and you're with multiple owners, this would be a great way to do it. But you also need to attach a partnership agreement, which is a little confusing because most just have operating agreements. In any case, the moral of the story here is be careful when you're getting tax services in the US from someone on Fiverr, for some company you don't know, or for some non-tax people, because yes, anyone can fill out these forms. You're essentially just filling out this page. It's all basic information. You're putting in exception 1A, and then you're attaching a treaty thing and a passport, and not treaty, a partnership agreement and a passport, and then they mail you back the ITIN. Essentially what it's doing. I'm essentially, when we send these out, we're doing the same thing, except we're attaching a 1040 NR saying you're a non-resident. So if you have any questions about this, comment below. If you got your ITIN in the way using exception 1A, I wouldn't panic. I wouldn't freak out. It doesn't mean you're doomed to pay taxes in the US, but just use it as a warning, a learning lesson. Hopefully nothing happens. Probably nothing will happen. I'm not here to fear sell on YouTube. I'm not trying to sell services to people by fear. I'm trying to help you guys see what's possible. If you have any other ways that you've applied for an ITIN, please comment. I'd love to see that. Obviously, like, these are clear ones. If you're a dependent of a non-resident alien holding a visa, you check the box. You know, that's pretty straightforward. And you have to see on the instructions what you need to actually attach. So a fair amount of instructions there, okay? So like, subscribe. If you need help getting this done, getting an ITIN or opening an LLC, getting US bank accounts, filing your taxes, coming up with a good tax strategy to not be crushed by taxes on your international transactions, whether it's multi-member, single member, foreign person with a US corp, US people with foreign companies, whatever you gotta do. I'm a real CPA doing this stuff every day. James Baker, CPA.com/schedule. You can do a technical call with me. I'd love to speak with you. I speak with all my clients. I will see you on the next one. Like and subscribe. Thank you.